The observation deck of the Meridian outpost hummed with the low thrum of life support systems, a sound Hassan had grown accustomed to over the past 3 months. He stood before the panoramic viewport, watching the violet nebula paint shadows across distant stars, his thoughts drifting to Earth, to monsoons and crowded bazaars and the smell of his mother's biryani. God, I miss real food. Careful, human, a melodic voice murmured behind him. I hear every word. Hassan spun around, nearly dropping his tablet. The Velkari diplomat Elsa, though that wasn't her birth name, stood in the doorway, her crystalline skin refracting the nebula's light into prismatic patterns. Her 3-fingered hands were clasped before her, and her face, though humanoid enough to unsettle him, bore the serene expression of someone who'd just won a particularly quiet argument. I didn't say anything, Hassan stammered, his heart hammering against his ribs. Elsa tilted her head, and the bioluminescent markings along her temples pulsed once. Amusement, he'd learned. No, you didn't. The implications crashed over him like cold water. You can read minds? Is that so surprising? She glided forward, her movements unnervingly smooth, as if gravity were merely a suggestion she occasionally humored. Your species broadcasts thoughts like radiation, messy, unfiltered, emotional. Her eyes, 6 of them arranged in 2 rows across her face, studied him with clinical interest. Most races learn to shield their minds before achieving interstellar travel. Humans simply shout into the void and hope no one is listening. Hassan's face burned. How much had she heard? The past 3 months replayed in his mind like a horror montage. Every stray thought, every private judgment. Every moment he'd questioned whether the coalition was worth humanity's submission. Everything, Elsa confirmed, though he hadn't asked aloud. The biryani comments. Your doubts about Ambassador Chen's competence, that rather creative observation about Ambassador Thex's resemblance to a... Okay, Hassan held up his hands. Point made. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you? Elsa's markings flickered rapidly now, genuine surprise. We assumed you knew. The Velkari have been part of the coalition for 4,000 years. Our telepathic nature is hardly classified information. Well, it never came up in the cultural briefings. Hassan's panic was giving way to indignation. Do you have any idea how many diplomatic incidents could have... He stopped himself, but too late. Elsa's expression shifted, her skin dimming to a softer shade. 372 by my count. Just in the past standard year. She moved to the viewport, standing beside him. The Krell nearly declared war because your chief negotiator thought their ambassador's ceremonial armor looked like a disco ball at a funeral. The Jinn withdrew their trade proposal after your xenobiologist spent an entire meeting imagining what they'd taste like grilled. Hassan wanted to sink through the floor. So why hasn't the coalition expelled us? Because, Elsa said, and her voice carried a weight that made him look at her. You're the first species we've encountered that thinks so loudly, yet fights so quietly. I don't understand. She gestured at the stars beyond the viewport. The Krell think in strategic absolutes. The Jinn in chemical equations. The Velkari in harmonized consensus. Her 6 eyes fixed on him. But humans? You think in contradictions. You're terrified and curious, violent and compassionate, selfish and self-sacrificing, often in the same breath. Hassan frowned. That sounds like you're calling us unstable. I'm calling you adaptable. Elsa's markings brightened. 3 months ago, when the Jinn delegation arrived, you thought they looked like nightmare shrimp from hell. Yet you spent 4 hours learning their gesture language just to make them comfortable. You critique Ambassador Chen constantly in your mind, but you've never once undermined her in public. That's just basic professionalism. No. Elsa turned to face him fully. It's discipline. It's the gap between thought and action. A gap most telepathic species lost millions of years ago. When we think something, we mean it absolutely. Our thoughts are our intentions. But humans, she made a sound like wind chimes. You think 10,000 things and choose one to speak. It's maddening. It's fascinating. It's why the coalition is so interested in you. Hassan processed this, his analytical mind finally catching up to his emotions. You're saying our mental chaos is a feature, not a bug? Your mental chaos means you can hold opposing ideas simultaneously and still function. You can hate someone and save their life. You can fear the unknown and embrace it anyway. Elsa's gaze returned to the nebula. The Velkari achieved telepathic unity 10,000 years ago. We solved conflict, ended wars, built paradise. Her skin dimmed again. We also stopped evolving. Stopped surprising each other. Stopped growing. The observation deck fell silent except for the life support hum. Hassan thought about his doubts, his fears, his constant internal arguments. For once, he didn't try to suppress them. Maybe she's right. Maybe our mess is our strength. Elsa's markings pulsed warm amber, approval. Now you're learning. Though, she paused, her expression shifting to something that might have been mischief. For the record, your mother's biryani recipe is in your mind very vividly. I've already sent the specifications to the outpost's food synthesizers. It should be ready tomorrow. Hassan blinked. You, really? Consider it an apology. For eavesdropping. She moved toward the door, then stopped. And Hassan? Ambassador Thex does look like an angry floor lamp. Everyone thinks it. You humans just think it more colorfully. As she left, Hassan found himself smiling, and didn't bother hiding the thought. Maybe we're going to be okay out here after all. From down the corridor, Elsa's laughter chimed like bells.